For this project, you will need 2 cups of sugar, 1 cup of water, 4 eggs, 1 can condensed milk, medium-sized pot, and a cake mold. In the medium-sized pot, measure out 2 cups of sugar and heat on medium setting. Let it sit for a minute or so, and then start shaking the pot periodically to keep the sugar mixed and not stick to the pot. In a separate small pot, start boiling about a cup of water. Continue shaking the pot with the sugar about every minute or so. I do not use a stirring spoon at this stage to avoid the sugar lumping around the spoon. Soon you will see the sugar melting around the edges. When most of the sugar has melted, use a spoon to stir until all sugar has melted and has a light brown color. If the solution is too dark or tastes bitter, start all over. It takes about 15 minutes to get the sugar properly caramelized. Keep the heat low. Measure out half cup of boiling water in a separate cup. Carefully add a very small amount of water to the sugar and stir. If you add too much water at once, it can come to a boil, spill over, and cause injury or damage. Continue adding small amounts of water and stirring. When all of the half cup of boiling water has been added, continue boiling the solution until it acquires a proper consistency. Spoon up a small amount of the liquid and let it pour back into the pot to check the viscosity of the liquid. If it pours out easily like a liquid, it is a bit too watery. We want to get to the stage where the liquid hesitates slightly in coming off the spoon. To test the right viscosity, carefully touch the back of the stirring spoon with your thumb and your forefinger. When the liquid starts slightly sticking between your 2 fingers, take the pot off the heat and set it aside to cool off. As the syrup cools off, it gets more viscous, so it is important to take it off the heat as soon as the liquid starts becoming a bit sticky. After the syrup has cooled off, notice how much more viscous it is. That is why it is important in step 1 to take the syrup off the heat at the right time. Now get your cake mold and smear the inside with the syrup. You probably will use about half of the syrup you made. The rest can be saved and used later. Preheat your oven to 350 degrees. In a kettle, put about 8 cups of water and start boiling the water. Take out your blender, break and put 4 eggs in it. Open the condensed milk can and pour its contents into the blender. Use the empty condensed milk can to measure out the milk and add it to the blender. Thoroughly blend the mixture. Now, pour the mixture from the blender into the cake mold. Set the cake mold into a baking tray and set the tray inside the oven. Bring your kettle and pour the boiling water into the tray, filling no more than 3/4 of the height of the tray. Close the oven door and set the timer for 30 minutes. When 30 minutes are over, open the oven door and check the color of the pudding. If it is more than a light brown, cover it with aluminum foil to keep the surface from getting too dark. Close the oven door. After 15 minutes, test the top of the pudding surface with a toothpick. If the surface pushes easily, then put it back inside the oven for another 5 minutes. Remove the tray and the cake mold very carefully. Set the mold aside to cool off. After the mold has cooled off to about room temperature, carefully run a knife along the mold surfaces in contact with the pudding to loosen the dessert. You may also have to shake with a circular motion to coax the pudding away from the mold surface. Find a large platter and invert it on top of the mold. With both of your hands gripping both the platter and the mold, Lift and flip over the two and set the whole thing down on the platter. Gently lift the mold away. Using a spatula, scrape the remnants of the syrup from inside the mold and spread it gently across the top of the pudding. Enjoy!